All right, so I had this idea for as I was building and waiting for certain things to work out for the double me concept, which will help with reference one. Kind of came to this other idea that I had while I was looking through my highlights and trying to figure out how would I use highlights of things that I've read and share it out. So I had this one concept, but then I was looking through and I wanted to build a product really quickly. And the first concept was export your highlights and then turn them into books. The second one was this one, which is building a Goodreads for articles. And so let's get into it. I don't know what it's going to be called, but I think it should be a cool way for people to kind of show off what they're reading, but also for you to follow the people that you really appreciate and see what they're reading and what they have access to. I think the second thing about it is we ask this question of like, what do our smartest friends read? And what do the people that we think are the coolest or the people who are the most charismatic or the people who have the most eclectic taste, like what are they reading on a day-to-day basis? And Goodreads is great for books, but articles are a little bit more ephemeral, and so we wanted to create this as kind of like a newspaper of what your friends are reading instead of like a list. And so what does it look like? It looks like a social media platform that doesn't involve like likes or dopamine hits because, like I said, with Goodreads, you kind of have this social network or social media feed, but it's on books, which take a lot longer to read. Where articles, or specifically, um, they are, you read them for 5 minutes and, you might be done with them, or you might get a couple of gems or nuggets and then you want to leave them behind. And so we wanted to create something that would allow you to join along, like join and learn alongside your favorite people. So as they're learning things, you're learning things. And it is a low lift. It's not like, when you subscribe to someone's newsletter or Substack, they have to write full articles and well thought out. But what happens if you just had a feed of just what they're reading and what they're enjoying and what they are liking? And the way that we do that is by making it highlight centric. So say highlight makes the world go round is kind of how we're looking at this. Is when they highlight things, that's when it's something that's important or something that you could enjoy reading, and not just the article itself, but actually the highlights. And so we wanted to essentially at the core level make how you read things tied into highlights. So actually your highlights are your workspace, and not the whole article and not the share function of an article. So it kind of, again, it creates this reading experience that should read like a social media feed or like a newsletter or a newspaper even. We might have that option to turn into a newspaper. And you can also take highlights from others and add them to your feed. So if you like someone's highlight and you choose to add it to your feed, you then add it to your area where you can essentially have a telephone situation where you read something from, like, for instance, if I read something that's amazing for my wife and I want to add it to my feed, well, now someone who follows me will see the thing that I will see the highlight that my wife loved. And so we can kind of pay it forward, and hopefully we can have a cool chain of, one highlight being shared and added like 75 to 150 times in like an hour. That would be amazing. It'd be really cool to create a different kind of viral moment that's centered around learning from other people and learning what they're learning. And so we want to make it really creative. And so we want to make it easy for you to share highlights that rock your world. And so right now, in a sense, you are there are applications out there that allow you to essentially share out your highlights, or create a digest to send out. But we wanted to create it a little bit differently so that it's more like a social media feed of everyone's highlights that you subscribe to and that you follow. And one of the coolest things that I think will happen is that we're going to add some AI into it. So it'll turn your highlights into your own words with just a click. So we'll have it so that if you have one highlight a day, you'll be able to upload artifacts of things that you've written or social media posts that you have. And then we will take that highlight and turn it into an article written in your words that you can kind of edit. And then you can save that, and then it'll show up in other people's feeds, but also you can share that into other social media platforms that are tied back to your highlight. And so that'll be one click. You click a button and it'll say generate a article with AI or generate a social media post with AI. And so we'll figure out how to do that in the future. And so this is how the process will work. You'll subscribe to curators, the people that you think are smart, or you yourself are a curator. You'll save their highlights to your feed, and then you'll also share your highlights to people who subscribe to you as a curator. And so again, we want to create this awesome viral moments of just well written content or things that people find impactful, whether it's a tweet or it's a YouTube video, and just have a segment that they really, really care about and think that more people should learn. I think that this could be an interesting engine to power how people learn together. So that's the concept. And now we're going to start building. And maybe I'll do these overviews more often. This took me, as you can tell, it took me probably about 12 minutes to put this deck together. And so maybe we'll do this more often where we put the deck first so that when you're looking at a playlist, you can see the overview of what the project should be. And then you can see how we're going to build a project later in the lower videos in the playlist.